What if I told you that the most important relationship you'll ever have isn't with your partner, your friends, or your family, but with yourself? The truth is, self-love isn't just some feel-good concept. It's the foundation that everything else in your life builds upon. Think about it. When you truly value yourself, you make better choices, you attract healthier relationships, you pursue goals that actually matter to you, you stop settling for less than you deserve. But most of us weren't taught how to love ourselves properly. Instead, we learned to criticize, doubt, and push ourselves to exhaustion. We put everyone else first and wonder why we feel empty. This video breaks down exactly how to change that pattern. You'll learn what real self-love looks like. Hint, it's not selfish or narcissistic. You'll discover practical ways to quiet your inner critic and set boundaries that protect your energy. You'll see how loving yourself transforms your relationships, career, and ability to handle life's challenges. The most successful people understand this secret. Everything good flows from how you treat yourself. Your outer world reflects your inner relationship. Master self-love and watch everything else fall into place. Let's dive in. Self-love gets confused with selfishness all the time. They're actually complete opposites. Selfishness takes without giving back. It's about putting yourself first at others' expense. True self-love creates more for everyone. It fills your cup so you can pour into others without draining yourself dry. Many people grew up thinking caring for themselves was wrong or indulgent. We hear phrases like, "Don't be full of yourself," and learn that putting others first is the only way to be good. This creates a dangerous pattern where we neglect our own needs until we're running on empty. This misunderstanding leads to guilt whenever we prioritize ourselves. We feel bad for setting boundaries, saying no, or taking time for self-care. That guilt keeps us trapped in unhealthy patterns and relationships. Genuine self-love means accepting yourself completely, flaws, mistakes, and all. It doesn't mean thinking you're perfect. It means knowing your worth doesn't depend on being perfect. It means treating yourself with kindness when you mess up instead of harsh criticism. Healthy self-love includes honest self-awareness. It means seeing your strengths and weaknesses clearly, without exaggeration in either direction. It means working on yourself not because you're broken, but because you value growth. Self-love shows up as boundaries, knowing what's acceptable treatment from others and yourself. It means not tolerating relationships, jobs, or situations that consistently make you feel small or worthless. It means speaking to yourself with compassion instead of judgment. Notice how you talk to yourself during tough times. Would you speak that way to someone you love? Probably not. Self-love means extending that same gentleness to yourself. Self-love requires meeting your basic needs without apology. Getting enough sleep, eating nourishing food, moving your body, spending time in nature, connecting with others, these aren't luxuries. They're essentials for well-being. When practiced properly, self-love becomes revolutionary. It transforms not just your inner world, but everything around you. It becomes both your foundation and your fuel. From this foundation, everything else becomes possible. Inside each mind runs a constant stream of thoughts, that inner voice narrating every move, every decision, every interaction. For many people, this voice isn't a friend. It's a harsh critic, constantly pointing out flaws, predicting failure, and replaying past mistakes on an endless loop. This negative self-talk acts like a poison slowly spreading through your life. It creates invisible barriers to what you believe possible. When that voice says, "You're not smart enough," "You don't apply for promotions," when it whispers, "Nobody really likes you," you avoid deep connections. When it shouts, "You'll fail anyway," you stop trying new things. Research shows negative self-talk directly impacts stress hormones in your body. It weakens immune function, decreases motivation, and can lead to anxiety and depression. It doesn't just feel bad, it literally changes your brain chemistry and physical health. Those critical voices usually form in childhood. They're echoes of parents, teachers, bullies, or society's expectations that got internalized years ago. Sometimes they started as protection, a way to keep you safe by pointing out potential dangers or preventing rejection. What once served as protection now serves as prison. Critical self-talk often grows when comparing ourselves to others, especially in today's social media world where everyone's highlight reel is constantly visible. Each comparison feeds that negative voice more evidence of supposed inadequacy. Breaking free starts with awareness. Simply noticing when that critical voice appears gives you power over it. Label it. "There's my critical voice again." This creates crucial distance between you and those thoughts. Challenge those thoughts with evidence. When that voice says, "I always mess everything up," counter with specific examples of successes, even small ones. This isn't about toxic positivity, it's about accuracy. Replace harsh criticism with what you'd tell a friend facing the same situation. If your friend made a mistake, would you call them worthless? Or would you offer perspective and encouragement? Give yourself that same compassion. Consistent practice matters more than perfection here. Each time you interrupt that negative pattern, you weaken its power and build a new pathway in your brain. Boundaries represent self-love in its most practical form. They clearly communicate what treatment you will and won't accept from others and from yourself. Without boundaries, self-love remains just a nice concept rather than a lived reality. People who struggle with boundaries often find themselves feeling resentful, exhausted, and taken for granted. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary for authentic connection. When someone can drain all your energy, monopolize your time, or treat you poorly without consequence, genuine relationships can't form. Instead, patterns of resentment and obligation take root. Clear boundaries create safety and trust, allowing real intimacy to develop. Many people fear setting boundaries will drive others away. In reality, healthy people respect boundaries even when they don't like them. Those who respond with anger, guilt-tripping, or abandonment when you set reasonable limits are showing exactly why those boundaries were needed in the first place. Boundaries improve all relationships because they prevent the buildup of unspoken resentment. They eliminate the need for passive-aggressive behavior, silent treatment, or eventual explosive arguments that come from swallowing your needs repeatedly. They replace confusion with clarity about what works for everyone involved. Start small with boundary setting if it feels overwhelming. Begin with low-stakes situations rather than your most challenging relationships. Practice saying phrases like, "I'm not available then," without adding justifications or apologies. Notice how over-explaining often weakens boundaries. Pay attention to physical sensations that signal boundary violations, tension in your shoulders, knots in your stomach, or sudden exhaustion during interactions. These bodily responses often recognize boundary issues before your conscious mind does. Create time buffers between commitments rather than packing your schedule too tightly. This builds in breathing room to check in with yourself instead of constantly reacting to others' demands. Learn to sit with discomfort when others push back against your boundaries. That discomfort passes, but the respect you gain, both from others and yourself, remains. Each boundary honored strengthens your self-trust and trains others in how to treat you. Boundaries paradoxically create more freedom and connection, not less. They clear space for relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation or fear. Self-love thrives in daily practices, not grand gestures. Small actions repeated consistently build a foundation of self-worth more effectively than occasional big efforts. Morning routines create powerful opportunities. Spending even 5 minutes in quiet reflection before checking devices signals to yourself that you matter. This might include writing down 3 things you appreciate about yourself or setting intentions for how you'll treat yourself today. Physical self-care directly impacts mental well-being. Moving your body, preparing one nourishing meal, getting enough sleep, drinking water, these basic acts tell your subconscious mind you're worthy of care. They're not indulgences, but necessities. Speaking kindly to yourself throughout the day rewires neural pathways. When making a mistake, pause and ask, "What would I say to a friend right now?" Then offer yourself those same words. This conscious language shift creates new thought patterns over time. Saying no without guilt serves as a powerful practice. Each refusal of what doesn't serve you makes room for what does. This might mean declining extra work, social invitations that drain energy, or even your own perfectionist standards when they become harmful. Brain science explains why these practices work. Neuroplasticity means our brains physically change based on repeated thoughts and behaviors. Self-criticism creates strong neural pathways after years of practice. Self-compassion feels awkward initially because those neural pathways aren't well established yet. Consistency eventually makes self-kindness feel more natural than criticism. Practicing gratitude for your body's functions rather than just its appearance shifts focus from criticism to appreciation. Thanking your legs for carrying you, your hands for creating, your heart for beating, this concrete gratitude builds respect for yourself beyond surface judgments. Setting tiny, achievable goals and acknowledging their completion builds self-trust. When you promise yourself something and follow through, even something small like drinking water or taking a brief walk, you strengthen belief in yourself. Busy lives require strategic integration of self-love practices. Attaching new habits to existing ones increases success. Practice self-compassionate thoughts while brushing teeth. Set boundaries while commuting, or express gratitude while waiting in lines. Finding these in-between moments makes consistency possible without requiring extra time. People treat us according to what we show them we'll accept. This simple truth explains why self-love fundamentally transforms every relationship in life. When someone repeatedly accepts disrespect, neglect, or conditional love from others, they broadcast a signal about their perceived value. Others pick up on this signal, often unconsciously, and respond accordingly. Self-respect establishes clear templates for how relationships should function. It creates invisible boundaries that most people naturally sense and respect. This happens subtly through body language, tone of voice, and what behaviors someone tolerates without protest. People who deeply value themselves rarely need to verbally demand respect because their entire way of moving through the world communicates it. Changing relationship patterns starts with recognizing repeating themes. Someone might notice they repeatedly attract partners who are emotionally unavailable, friends who take without giving back, or bosses who exploit their work ethic. These patterns aren't coincidences or bad luck, they're reflections of internal beliefs about what love looks like. Many unhealthy patterns began as survival mechanisms in childhood. A child who earned love through achievement might grow into an adult who overworks to feel worthy. Someone raised with inconsistent affection might chase unreliable partners, recreating familiar emotional roller coasters. Recognizing these connections breaks their power. Walking away from relationships that diminish self-worth becomes easier with practice. Each time someone chooses self-respect over harmful connections, they strengthen their self-trust and recalibrate their standards. This might mean ending romantic relationships, creating distance from critical family members, or changing social circles entirely. As internal changes occur, relationships naturally shift. Some improve as new boundaries are respected. Others end when they can't adapt to healthier dynamics. New connections form with people who operate at similar levels of emotional health. This transition period often feels uncomfortable, but leads to relationships based on mutual respect rather than need or habit. People who value themselves attract others who offer added value to their already complete lives, not those looking to extract value or fill voids. This attraction operates like magnetism, drawing together individuals with compatible levels of self-worth and similar expectations for how relationships should function. Hard times reveal our true relationship with ourselves. When life falls apart during job loss, heartbreak, failure, illness, we discover whether we've built an internal support system or an internal critic. Crisis amplifies existing patterns. Those who habitually beat themselves up will intensify this punishment during difficulties. Those who've practiced self-compassion will access this resource when needed most. Being your own support means speaking to yourself with kindness during pain. It means acknowledging suffering without minimizing it. This hurts tremendously, and that's perfectly natural. This validation alone can reduce emotional suffering significantly. Many people instead add secondary suffering through thoughts like, I shouldn't feel this bad, or other people handle this better. Self-support includes physical comfort during emotional pain. Placing a hand over your heart, wrapping yourself in a soft blanket, or making a warm drink are simple ways your body registers care. These gestures activate parasympathetic nervous system responses, reducing stress hormones and creating safety. Failures test self-love profoundly. Harsh self-criticism after mistakes feels protective as if punishing yourself prevents future errors. Research shows exactly the opposite occurs. Self-compassion after failure leads to greater accountability, faster improvement, and increased motivation compared to self-criticism. Practical self-compassion during failure includes acknowledging common humanity. Making mistakes is part of being human. It means speaking to yourself as you would speak to someone you deeply care about. It doesn't mean denying responsibility, it means addressing mistakes from emotional stability rather than shame. Resilience grows directly from self-compassion practices. People who treat themselves kindly bounce back faster from setbacks because they waste less energy on self-punishment. They learn from difficulties instead of being defined by them. They view challenges as temporary situations rather than permanent judgments on their worth. Maintaining routines of self-care becomes especially crucial during crises, though often these practices are first abandoned. Even simplified versions, 5 minutes of mindfulness instead of 30, a short walk instead of a full workout provide stability amid chaos. These consistent actions remind your nervous system that basic safety exists despite surrounding difficulty. Success flows naturally from genuine self-worth rather than from desperate striving. People assume achievement comes first, followed by feelings of worthiness. Reality works in reverse. Foundational self-worth creates the psychological safety needed to take meaningful risks, persist through failure, and celebrate accomplishments without constant hunger for external validation. Deep-seated beliefs about personal value dictate achievement levels more powerfully than talent or opportunity. Someone might possess exceptional abilities, yet unconsciously cap their success at what feels deserved or safe. This ceiling remains invisible, appearing only as inexplicable patterns of self-sabotage when approaching new levels of visibility or reward. Self-sabotage manifests through procrastination, perfectionism, conflict creation, or achievement followed by implosion. These behaviors seem irrational on the surface. Why would someone undermine what they claim to want? Because success threatens unconscious beliefs about worthiness. If someone secretly believes they don't deserve good things, they'll unconsciously ensure good things don't last. People who value themselves make fundamentally different decisions than those operating from fear or lack. They choose growth opportunities over comfort, authentic expression over people-pleasing, and healthy challenges over familiar limitations. They select relationships, jobs, and lifestyles aligned with their actual values instead of chasing status markers that provide temporary external validation. Recognizing personal value unlocks capacity for sustained focus. When self-worth doesn't depend on short-term wins or others' approval, someone can commit to long-term mastery. They practice consistently, embrace constructive feedback, and prioritize meaningful progress over quick results. This approach inevitably produces higher quality work than anxious striving ever could. Valuing yourself properly transforms financial choices. People charge appropriately for their time and skills. They invest in their well-being and growth. They walk away from exploitative situations rather than proving their worth through overwork and underpayment. They recognize abundance mentality stems from internal security, not external accumulation. Healthy self-worth enables genuine innovation because it reduces fear of judgment. People willing to look foolish, make mistakes, and challenge conventions create breakthrough ideas. Those paralyzed by fear of criticism rarely contribute anything truly original. Every creative field advances through individuals secure enough to risk being wrong. Self-love creates ripple effects far beyond personal experience. Each act of self-respect shifts relationship dynamics, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you. Parents who practice self-love raise children who internalize healthy boundaries. Partners who value themselves inspire mutual respect. Employees who honor their worth influence workplace cultures. Friends who practice self-compassion give others permission to do the same. Energy transfers between people in subtle but powerful ways. Someone who constantly criticizes themselves spreads that critical lens to others. Their harsh internal standards leak into judgments about colleagues, family members, and friends. Conversely, someone practicing self-acceptance naturally extends that grace outward. This creates spaces where others feel safe to be authentic rather than perfect. Breaking generational patterns often begins with one person choosing different responses. Families might carry decades-long habits of self-sacrifice, criticism, or emotional suppression. When even one member begins practicing genuine self-care and healthy boundaries, it disrupts established patterns. Others initially resist these changes, but eventually adapt or reveal their investment in dysfunctional systems. Workplace environments transform when individuals value themselves appropriately. Speaking up in meetings, declining unreasonable requests, or leaving toxic environments inspires colleagues to question their own tolerance for mistreatment. Leadership styles improve when rooted in self-worth rather than insecurity. Teams function better when members bring their whole, authentic selves rather than performing from fear. Children learn self-love primarily through observation, not instruction. Parents who model healthy self-talk, boundary setting, and self-care raise children who naturally incorporate these practices. This transmission happens regardless of what parents verbally teach. A mother who constantly criticizes her appearance while telling her daughter to love herself sends mixed messages that actions always overrule. Social circles naturally reorganize around new levels of self-worth. Some friendships deepen when both people grow in similar directions. Others dissolve when one person's evolution highlights unhealthy patterns. New connections form with people resonating at similar frequencies of authenticity and respect. True influence comes not from preaching self-love, but embodying it. People resist being told how to change, but naturally imitate what appears beneficial. Someone thriving through self-acceptance becomes living proof that alternatives to self-criticism exist. Their presence alone challenges others' limiting beliefs about what's possible. Coming full circle now, loving yourself isn't just some feel-good phrase. It's the foundation that supports everything meaningful in life. When you value yourself properly, relationships improve. Success becomes sustainable. Resilience grows naturally. Decisions align with your true values rather than fear or external validation. This journey never truly ends. Self-love deepens with practice and time. Some days will feel easier than others. Progress isn't always linear. What matters is returning to these principles again and again, especially when challenges arise. Start with small steps today. Notice your inner dialogue. Set one boundary. Practice self-compassion when you stumble. These tiny actions create powerful momentum over time. Remember that loving yourself changes not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. You create permission for others to value themselves too. You break harmful cycles that might otherwise continue for generations. You demonstrate what healthy relationships with ourselves can look like. If this message resonated with you today, hit that like button to help others find this video. Subscribe to our channel for more content on personal growth and authentic living. Your journey matters, and it starts with how you treat the person you'll spend every moment of your life with yourself.